revealing my story with infidelity as the BS. This is personal, and I want to share it with you to offer you hope. I've been married to my wife since 2005. We don't have any children, we both work, and we live a pretty comfortable life. We've worked hard on our professions and have always been there for one another. She was nurtured in the purity culture and hailed from a cult-like religion. She began to rethink the church and its harmful evangelical links to politics perhaps in 2016 or 2017. She met her AP at a funeral in 2019 and requested for his phone number. After a few weeks, I noticed he was texting a lot more when we were in bed next to one another. I asked her twice whether there was anybody else involved or if anything was going on. She denied it since it was not, but rather between friends. Something emotional was on my mind. I was gone for roughly 5 weeks for temporary job out of state. During that period, she would bring him over as a friend and go on dates with him. All of this is taking place without my knowledge or approval. She let him spend the night so he wouldn't get a DUI since they'd had a few drinks. Apparently, he would consume a large amount of alcohol. He has terrible coping abilities. And keep in mind that the majority of the information I obtained was not from her, but from the AP in person. She eventually joined him on the sofa, and it turned. She'd eventually drag him upstairs to the spare bedroom, where the intercourse would continue. As a result of their acts, the home has been defiled. This is his confession, by the way. I flew her down to where I was working so we could go back to our house together. When new and intimate, I began, she was like a limp rag doll who was completely uninterested. I suspected she was concealing something, maybe an affair. I was in denial since she was a virgin and engaged with the church when we married. Furthermore, I had previously challenged her twice, and she had declined both times. I felt terrible after each inquiry, and I just ignored my feelings. She wasn't the same once I got home. The affair persisted, and she would pay him visits while I was away on business. She gradually became cold and aloof from me. She refused to have with me or be intimate with me. She was sobbing and miserable. Apparently, she began to meet him at his residence, and he didn't want her to get connected to him. He issued an ultimatum: divorce him or have no with me. I believe she realized she was going to lose both worlds. She discovered safety, acceptance, and no guilt from her, as well as no criticism from the AP. She never explained any of this to me until after her confession. I believe she wanted stability, true love, and a genuine future with me, but she also desired complete approval and understanding from the AP. She had to choose between two universes. That's why she was so sad. I think she understood she didn't have a true future with him since he was unstable, but she wasn't sure whether I would simply divorce her with no chance of reconciliation. She finally confessed to me after I had been suspecting her for 4 months. I know she attempted to repair the damage she created prior to the revelation by dressing the way I preferred her to dress, wearing her hair long, starting to assist with yard work, coming to the gym with me, and being my friend again. Despite understanding what she was going to say, I was horrified when she confessed. I assured her that if she broke all relations with her AP, I would forgive her and enable reconciliation. She stated she couldn't guarantee it. I couldn't understand why she would say that, despite the olive branch I was holding out. I felt numb, detached, and in shock as a result of the emotional trauma. I really considered harming myself, and that's when I understood I needed to get away from her. I exited the building and headed to the park. At 3:45 a.m., I dialed my dear friend's number, and he answered the phone. He advised me that if I called at 3:45 a.m., something horrible was going on. After an hour of talking, he came over and collected my pistols for my safety. Later that morning, my wife advised me not to make any long-term choices while I was upset. I really wanted to divorce her and leave her with nothing. She had started going to counseling immediately after her AP ultimatum, and she had been reading literature on how to comfort a deceived husband. She offered me some alone time, acknowledged her grief, and expressed shame and regret for what she had done. I returned home after 4 days away and resumed dating her. We began having some hot and wonderful. I wanted a lot of with her for some reason. We began seeing a marital counselor jointly. Because of the betrayal, I sought treatment for PTSD. I also became a member of an online discussion forum for deceived spouses. She and the counselor decided to stop communicating with the AP. After 7 months, I am doing considerably better. We discovered that she was suffering from mental stress caused by the purity culture. Humiliation: women induce men to lust to stumble due to their dress or figure. cultural norms and expectations, women are expected to have kids rather than professions, and only marriages are accepted. I've established a secure space for her to voice her worries and feel appreciated. As the deceived spouse, I'd want to relate my own story. I felt shocked and numb immediately after the revelation. Things were moving slowly, but my mind was racing. My heart rate was really high, and I felt a dry mouth. I was going through the fight or flight reaction. I was enraged, but I also wanted to forgive. For many days, I couldn't sleep properly. I lost 15 pounds in 1 month after losing my appetite. My mind couldn't stop thinking about the affair. The visual scenario was built in my thoughts. Every time I learned a new information or learned anything new about the affair, it sent a shockwave through my body and caused a delay in my recuperation. For at least 10 days, I was unable to sleep. As a result, I lost my job. Recovery was a tough and time-consuming process. I was unable to enjoy life or my former pastimes. When I was attempting to sleep, I was hypersensitive to noise, motion, and light. Before the affair, when I listened to music, I didn't pay attention to the words as much as I did to the rhythm. Lyrics became crystal obvious after the encounter. Any music or television programs involving affairs served as triggers. I was always battling intrusive thoughts that forced me to shut down or have an emotional breakdown. I was crying a lot and suffering from acute depression. The first month or two was really challenging and almost shattered me. No, it broke my spirit. My counsel to those who have been deceived is to concentrate on their recovery. How? Surround yourself with individuals who love and support you. People who will allow you to vent and vocally process, and you will, if you must. Leave the house. Locate someone who will provide you with safety. If you need to take a week off from work, go ahead and do it. Make an appointment for counseling. Recognize that you are quite unstable and will need a significant amount of time before you can make reasonable judgments. Make choices without overwhelming emotional bias. Do not attempt to exert control over your unfaithful spouse's recovery. You must concentrate on yourself. It took many weeks for me to feel comfortable going on social media without openly slamming my wife and exposing her to relatives, colleagues, neighbors, and church. Simply do not do it. You may be tempted to have a vengeance affair, but don't. Expect your WS recovery to be nothing like yours. My WS was already in treatment and reading literature, so she had an advantage. Going to therapy, having trustworthy people to vent to, and having a secure place to be were all beneficial to me. My wife and I are in a much better position as a result of our gradual but steady mending. It's been 7 months since D-Day, Disclosure Day, and I'm not having random ideas. I may have them once or twice a day, and I am familiar with them. When I see myself ready to spin out of control emotionally, I employ cognitive processing therapy procedures to bring myself out of it. My wife and I are having fantastic and getting along so much better. I still have moments of resentment, but I allow myself to feel and process them. It's okay to be angry and bitter. It's normal to worry if you should remain or depart. It's normal to question whether your marriage will ever be the same again. I have to remember that the previous marriage is no longer alive. This fresh couple has a new husband and wife. And sure, I have every right to forgive, reconcile, and repair the relationship before declaring, I am divorcing you. I know I needed her at the moment of my confession. I don't need her anymore. I simply want her. I have chosen to remain in this marriage, but I retain the right to leave at any time. Why am I still here? I see her dedication to treatment and her willingness to be there for me. We spoke about it and worked out what was lacking in our relationship. What was lacking? Our incapacity to communicate emotionally with one another. Yes, we had a deep love for each other, but we didn't make ourselves exposed to one another in order to enable the most despicable admissions. We just didn't know how. We both grew up with emotionally detached parents. I was, I believe, an avoidant sort who just kept things to oneself. She discovered someone who made her feel secure with her flaws. I now understand how to provide the safe haven she needs and vice versa. Despite only having been with 2 guys her whole life, the conventional man would tell me I should leave her because she's contaminated or 8 people make errors, and I've forgiven her for hers. Our love has become considerably stronger and our communication has improved dramatically. Our has gotten much more regular, and I like the way she chases me. Yes, it is possible to forgive. Yes, the marriage has the potential to improve. Yes, the WS can learn from his error. Both of you must put in a lot of effort. We are about to enter our 15th year of marriage. Yes, the affair took place on both our anniversary and her birthday. It really lasted about 6 months. Are some holidays and anniversaries tainted with sadness? Yes, absolutely. Will it ever go away? I honestly don't know, but I'm optimistic. Recognizing the feelings I'm feeling and the rushing ideas in my head helps. I process them to figure out why they're there and what caused them. Hang in there, my deceived friends, and know that it is possible to heal from this, with or without your so. First and foremost, you must look after yourself. Do not attempt to exert control over your so. Don't do it alone, get assistance.